So if that's where you want to go.
Welcome to the podcast for swimming pool professionals, starring Rudy Stankiewicz and Andrea Nannini.
Hi, I'm Andrea.
And I'm Rudy.
That was a good.
Was it? I have no idea how
that
it was.
That was a good voice.
All right,
that was a good intro.
3 seconds in. You know, I got to tell you something funny. Last week when we recorded, and it hasn't come out yet, you decided you were going to start doing that. What challenge is it? The somebody challenge? I forget the name of it. What's on Facebook? That Ryan Reynolds did with, what's his face? Will Ferrell. The singing thing.
Oh.
I could be red. I could be blue. Right. Well, you decided
that's not a challenge.
Well, yes, it is. It's called a challenge. Something challenge. What's the name of the friggin' song?
I don't know.
Okay.
All I know is I just saw that one TikTok.
It's like somebody's song. Anyway, whatever. Well, you started singing it, and I left it in.
Oh, great. When was that?
Coming out this Friday, so last week.
Oh, good.
So it'll be last week's episode because we're about a week ahead. So I decided I would share that with you.
All right. Well, that's fine. We can leave that in. We'll see if we'll see if anybody wants us to do the actual challenge, and then we can.
If somebody wants us to do, and we have to think of the name of this challenge, because we don't know what it is. It has a name.
You're gonna make me look on TikTok. Where's my phone? Hold on. Before I get that, I want to show you.
Okay.
Listen, I want to show you this.
What?
Okay. Now, have you ever seen the movie So I Married an Axe Murderer?
Yes.
All right. As a kid, when that came out in 1993, I was 10 years old, and that was my favorite movie to the point where I literally can recite every single line
from the movie.
But look at what I found.
Okay.
Yeah. Look at what I found on the internet.
A cubby wubby womb room. Very, very cool.
It's tea.
What?
It's tea.
I see that. That's awesome.
It's cubby wubby womb room tea.
Cubby wubby womb. That's a tongue twister and a half for you.
It smells good.
Okay. It doesn't smell like.
It's cute.
Womb.
It doesn't smell like axe murderers.
Okay.
No.
Well, that's good.
But it's cute. It comes in a little tin with the little axe on the front of it.
Which is pretty badass. And,
it is cool.
Yep, I'm totally into axe murderers. Awesome.
Yeah. So if you know anybody who's a fan of that movie, get them some cubby wubby. Well, I guess you would have to be a fan of the movie and be a tea drinker, because otherwise it'd kind of be a waste of $24.
All right. So you're asking me a question about Coca-Cola and killing algae.
Coca-Cola. Yeah. So, okay. Now I've been doing pools for a long time. I know a lot of our listeners have been also. And I just feel like I don't want to be alone in this realization that I came up with. Well, not that I came up with, but that I came to the other day. So, the formula that's in the CPO book, 10.7 fluid ounces raises 1 part per million of free chlorine in 10,000 gallons.
For sodium hypochlorite.
For sodium hypochlorite, yes, liquid chlorine. Well, it hit me the other day. Like, I never actually sat down and visualized what that was. That's that's slightly less than a can of Coke. 10.7 ounces, right? Because a can of Coke is 12 ounces.
That's true. Can of Coke is 12 ounces. So yeah, it is slightly less than a can of Coke. And did you fill a can of Coke with sodium hypochlorite?
No, I didn't. But I did the calculation because I was trying to reach break point. And I did this because this is when I closed my big pool for bird poop on Friday.
Again?
And yeah. Well, no, that was a different pool.
So you have reoccurring bird shit issues.
I have a lot of bird shit problems. Yes. Different kinds of birds too. Some are ducks, some are fucking cranes.
And you can identify them from the actual floating turd.
No, I identify them when I see them floating around in the pool.
All right. So no distinction in duck poo. It all looks the same.
No, it's all the same.
And that's why we should be nice to each other. Because no matter what anybody
Why?
looks like, no matter what they do for a living, no matter where they come from, their shit all looks the same.
Ew. Well, on that note, so anyway, yeah, so I did the calculation to get to break point, and I only needed 3.3 gallons of chlorine in my 186,000 to bring that up to 30.
I thought you were going to say that you only needed a 6-pack of cans.
Well, yeah, I mean,
6-pack of Coke
that's
would
how I'm
do
going to
the
measure
job.
it.
So
That's how I'm going to measure it from now on. Be like, it needs about a 6-pack of chlorine. It
right,
should be good.
but we won't be pouring sodium hypochlorite into aluminum cans. That's bad.
No, absolutely
We're going to use
not.
a plastic measuring cup that we have specifically for sodium hypochlorite. Actually, no, you're not at all, are you? You're going to walk around with that 2.5-gallon carboy and go glub, 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 glub. I got it. I see how it is.
That's what my point is, though, is because, you know, I've been doing it for a certain way a long time just because that's the way that I was taught, you know. So people that I know, you dose the pool with the whole 2.5 gallons of chlorine. You know, a normal average size pool is probably not more than 12,000 gallons. And
normal
that's just
average
completely
size
overdosing.
Pool. Normal average size. I think that definition is going to vary by geographic location. A lot. Normal average size pool is not 12,000 gallons everywhere.
Then I should clarify and say that here around this area where I have been doing pools, people around here are severely overdosing their pools by dumping in a jug. I mean, I'm probably not going to stop doing it, but
that is not hard to believe. Not hard to believe at all. It happens all the time. Irresponsible chemical dosing. People don't go about it correctly.
Nope.
At all with anything. With tablets and cyanuric acid, you know, that's one of the things you have to consider when these folks are adding tablets. I guess it's not as big a deal this year and last year because we can't find any friggin' tablets, but had we tablets, there is cyanuric acid in each tablet, and sooner or later you're going to have to account for that. Sooner or later the level's going to be high enough that you need to do something. But if they're not also measuring cyanuric acid, they don't know.
Yeah.
Just like when you add copper algicide, if you're not testing the copper level in the pool, is that responsible dosing?
No, because you don't know what your level is at and how much you're adding and how close you are going to come to the max, or if you're going to overdose or you're going to end up with staining or other issues.
Here's one for you. There's this thing out there, and I've seen it on other sites. It's called BBB. I know you hate it. I know it's like nails on a chalkboard for you, but BBB, what does the BBB stand for?
Honestly, I don't even really know. Borates, baking soda, and buttholes.
Well, all right. So
because only buttholes do that crap.
Let's be nicer than that, because you know what? It is a method out there. A lot of people go to that site, but what they recommend is using boric acid to increase your pH instead of soda ash. And the reason for that, not even boric acid, what they're recommending is borax, because boric acid won't actually increase the pH, but borax will significantly, but it won't cloud the water. So I understand the reason why they want to do it. But the problem is that the borate level is not going to dissipate. It only increases.
Sorry, did you see the post in Talking Pools yesterday about the boric acid and what it cures?
Oh, you're actually interrupting me with something related? Yeah, I saw that. That's not how we recommend to use it.
I just thought it was a funny post, and I'm disappointed in the ladies for not jumping in.
It was a treatment for
a yeast infection.
For yeast infections. Yes, that was what it was. So we don't recommend it for that, obviously. But in a pool, the main reason we use boric acid... Are you rolling a joint right now?
No.
Okay, I was just checking. So the main reason we... the things you do while I'm speaking. All right, the main reason we use it is to...
I didn't think you could hear it.
As a pH... Really, everybody hears it. So the main reason, and I couldn't see it, I knew from the sound because I've heard it on TV before.
Yeah, okay.
But the main reason we use borates is to act as a pH buffer to prevent the pH from rising, but you can use it to increase your pH. But the problem is if you're not also testing your borate level, you can get to a point where your borate level is too high, where it exceeds the maximum recommended level.
We talked about that before, right? Where
we did
the maximal level in borates and the toxicity and all that.
But this all lends toward, or it leads up to, the subject that you wanted to speak about, which was the effect of cyanuric acid on total alkalinity.
Right, carbonate alkalinity.
Correct. What we should use is carbonate alkalinity. I'll tell you, you remember a few years back when we went to, you were there in the audience, I was up on stage for the great cyanuric acid debate.
Yeah, and you didn't use my live video. Well, actually, I didn't know that my clicking, my typing, because I was responding to people, to get engagement.
You did wonderfully, but it was clicking.
The sound was audible for me typing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
I'll have to mute that next time.
That's the only reason why. But
that was fun.
It was fun. But the whole point being is, like, okay, we were talking about maximum cyanuric acid levels, and everybody was talking about the effectiveness of chlorine at different cyanuric acid levels. And one of the points that I wanted to bring up, and I did, was not even on the one we decided to video. Not good for you. But
I forgot we were videoing this one.
The topic that
now we're not, unless you can edit that.
Wow. Whoa.
Hey,
but the topic I wanted to bring up back then was that the big thing folks miss is the contribution to total alkalinity, and how having a high cyanuric acid level, because we don't factor in the contribution to total alkalinity, is actually destroying swimming pools. Because what we're
making it harder to maintain them, for sure.
Well, what we're ending up with is a very corrosive water situation. What we're ending up with is a very low saturation index, and folks don't know it because they're not accounting for that cyanuric acid level. And when we look at total alkalinity, what the test kit tests, the test kit actually tests carbonates, bicarbonates, hydroxides, and, ready?
Cyanurics.
There you go.
Woo!
But we don't want that. All we want is the carbonate alkalinity, which is bicarbs, carbonates. Hydroxides don't contribute a lot, so we don't worry as much. But we do need to account for that cyanuric acid level.
So why would we not have a test for carbonate alkalinity? Why do we test for all the stuff we don't need?
Because let's look at it like test kit interference, okay? Let's look at it like, say, a high chlorine level. We know if our chlorine level is greater than 15 parts per million, that it's going to affect the test reagent phenol red. What we're actually going to end up with is a new chemical called chlorophenol red, which is still used in science to test pH, but it tests a very different range, only like 4.8 to 6.6. But the result we see on our test kit is anything greater than 6.6 looks a brilliant purple. So we have test kit interference. There's nothing we can do about that in the case of phenol red for pH. Similarly, when we test for total alkalinity, we have interference that we pick up. It's the cyanuric acid level. We need to account for it. We need to get rid of it. And scientists, much smarter than I, have determined that it's about 1/3 of your total cyanuric acid reading that contributes to your total alkalinity.
So to find your carbonate alkalinity, you divide your cyanuric acid reading by 3, then subtract that number from your total alkalinity reading.
Correct. And then we get our carbonate alkalinity, which is our alkalinity reading minus cyanurics. And this is, of course, only in a swimming pool where we're using cyanuric acid. If we're not using it, the test works fine. Total alkalinity is perfectly fine.
Or if it's been raining a lot like it has been here and you have a 0 level.
If you have a 0 level, well, you'd have to overflow an entire pool, but sure. But if the cyanuric acid level's at 0 because you're not using it, or because you had a torrential downpour with hurricane force winds and something sucked it all up over the rainbow to, oh no, help me, my shoes, there's no place like home, whatever.
Now you're going to perpetuate some other myth where now people are going to think that rain sucks cyanuric acid out of the water. It's already difficult enough to explain to people that don't understand how much rain we get down here.
Breaking news. In an unrelated subject, the rain has sucked all of the cyanuric acid out of the swimming pools across the entire United States, and it has deposited them in the swimming pools in Russia. That's good because Putin sucks.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, I can take a stance. I'm American. Fuck him.
Yeah,
you know what?
yeah,
if he wants to go and invade other countries, well, that's just not very nice.
No.
Anyway, so the problem is people don't account for it. They don't do the extra math. Now, some of the apps out there ask for the cyanuric acid reading, and if you input that, then it will do the calculation for you and remove the contribution of cyanuric acid to your total alkalinity. But here's a bigger problem.
Leslie's does that too.
Okay. Which is nice of them. It's very nice of them.
If a customer happens to take their water level, their water sample to Leslie's accounts for the carbonate.
Okay, but people doing this at home do not. How many people at home actually test their cyanuric acid level?
I don't know.
Did you hear that sound before you spoke? It was silence. That's because all the people who tested spoke up all at once, and we heard nothing, not a fucking thing, because nobody tests it. It's like total chlorine. That third yellow bottle in your test kit, that's the one that's easy to find. You know why? Because in most cases, it's the one that's still full.
It's actually, no, it's not easy to find because you have to special order it here.
I'm talking about in a person's test kit at their house. The same thing with those 2 extra bottles in the phenol for the pH side, the acid demand, base demand test. Who uses that? Yeah, who uses that? Nobody.
I use it when I need to fudge my pH test for the health inspector.
Good to know.
Have to put that in.
And I don't have to take it out either. So, but the point being is that folks aren't using these things at home. They don't use the third yellow bottle. They don't use.
Well, not even at home. Not a lot of even a lot of the professionals don't know what carbonate alkalinity is.
Or do they use those other bottles we spoke about either? Or do they test for cyanuric acid? And I'm not going to say those are the professionals that don't know what it is. I'm going to differentiate and say, and I brought it up the other day, there's a difference between pool guys and gals and pool professionals. You can be both, but you can also be the first one without the other. You can be a pool guy or gal and not be professional. And the difference is in the service that you deliver, as well as a multitude of other things, which we're not going to get into right now because it could be an entirely separate episode. But I'm not calling everybody professionals and saying the professionals don't test those things, because in my opinion, the professionals do.
A lot of people skip on the calcium test too.
Agreed. So they're not utilizing the test kit as it was designed. They're not utilizing all the tools they have in front of them to make sure they don't damage their pool.
And then those are the same people that complain that the Taylor kit takes too long to use.
It doesn't take too long. You know what? I challenge anybody out there. If anybody wants to step up in front of me with a test strip, I will take that Taylor kit and I will test the water and have it analyzed faster than you.
Same water?
Same water. Start to finish. Test.
All right. Next
analyzation.
Next pool show, me and you are going to do a test.
Fully analyzed. Okay. Because if you think you can go through doses as quick as I can, it's not going to take any longer. Do the Taylor kit, done, boom, move on. It doesn't take too long. And why not spend the extra time to get a more accurate result? That's the thing we were talking about, just even the difference in test strips and the reagents. The test strips cannot test calcium hardness. They don't. They test total hardness, which also includes magnesium, which we also don't want. We only want the calcium hardness.
Right.
So this is an instance.
The magnesium gets you those flakes.
Right. So check this out. The test strip tests the total hardness. That's similar to what we're saying about total alkalinity. It includes something we don't want. Now, with calcium hardness, we just happen to be able to use reagents where we can eliminate the effect of magnesium on the test. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist for total alkalinity, so we have to do the math. And the effect we want to eliminate is the effect of cyanuric acid. We want that to be gone, because if you're not accounting for that, your saturation index is always going to be super low.
And your alkalinity is going to be a lot lower than what you think. And you might end up with stains and damaged heaters. And
that's what I'm saying. So the lower total alkalinity, the alkalinity lower than we think it is, the carbonate alkalinity being super low because we're only testing total alkalinity and not accounting for cyanuric acid at all, is driving down the saturation index, which is giving us a super corrosive pool, which is going to damage the plaster. Is this a problem in fiberglass and vinyl? Hell yeah, it is. People think that it's not. We don't have to worry about those things in those pools. But guess what?
You still do.
It's just water. As important. I'll tell you what, calcium levels in fiberglass pools. Now, this isn't the cause of it, but it can definitely make it more evident. If you have small pinholes in the gel coat, you're going to end up with cobalt staining. If you have a low calcium level, that staining is going to be more prevalent in the pool. The way we reduce that level of staining or keep it to a minimum is with a higher calcium hardness level. Vinyl liners nowadays, they are manufacturing with calcium carbonate right in the vinyl. It's been found that pools that have a low saturation index can actually pull that calcium carbonate right from the vinyl if that vinyl has a composition of more than 7% calcium carbonate in it. So all of these things are important for all pools, and every bottle in that test kit is important for your water, and we have to take a look at things like that. Don't use the test strip to test hardness because it doesn't give you the reading you want. It includes magnesium. We don't want it. Don't test the total alkalinity without subtracting 1/3 of your cyanuric acid from that reading because we don't want it.
Yeah, especially doing, I mean, it's important for every pool, but especially if you're doing like startups and stuff like that, it's extra important because, you know, you want to keep that alkalinity within range while you have the pH low or however you're doing it.
I agree.
But if you're, excuse me, I was just going to agree to your point that, you know, if you're not testing everything, either you could be missing something or you could be contributing to some other problem that you're not aware of that's not necessarily going to show itself right away. So yeah, it's real super important to check all of that stuff.
Exactly. And
the math's not super hard, and I hate doing math, and it's really not, you know, it's 2 calculations on your phone and that's it. Super easy.
The sad part is that people are destroying their swimming pools without knowing it while having everything in front of them necessary to prevent it.
Sorry, I thought I heard my phone ringing.
You are a delight in this episode, aren't you? So, but seriously, they have everything they need in front of them to prevent the damage that they're causing.
Right.
Because they're not testing for it. And that's a damn shame, because to do the additional tests takes maybe 2 to 3 minutes longer.
Yeah, it's not painful. You get to sit down for a second, maybe put your feet in the water if it's nice and warm.
There you go. Take us out of here.
Oh, all right. Well, that's been our show. Hope we could help you with your chemistry issues. So anyway, follow us, like us, all that good stuff. And thank you for listening.
And in the words of Andrea Nanini, don't be a Bogart, puff, puff, pass.
That's not my words. It sounds like something Cheech and Chong said.
Exactly. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate you guys checking in with us. You know, every Friday, Andrea and I enjoy chatting with you.
Absolutely.
Catch you next week. Be cool.
Bye.